right, so we're out here. We got a beautiful day of weather. So we got the car backed out of the garage. So getting super close to a test drive, so I'm getting pretty excited. So a few things I need to fix is the front shock mounts, front end alignment, and brakes, and then throw a windshield in it. And we can go for a test drive. So super excited. We're gonna try to knock out the front end stuff today. I've still got to track down some trim work for the windshield from the wreck. So still looking for that stuff, but we're hoping to get these front shocks figured out and all that happy stuff. So we'll get out here, we're gonna get these fenders pulled off, and then I'll remind you of what we got going on with the front shocks and why we have that going on, and then we'll get to work. This is what we've got going on with the front shock. So you can see I've got the spacers back there to get it out so it clears the frame. And the reason this is happening, I've got the Rod Customs coil spring cross member, but then I bought 5/8 inch narrow A-arms off eBay, and those are throwing the shock too close to the cross member there, so I need to come out on the upper shock mount, and I'm not sure how I want to do that yet. So I just put washers in there to get it rolling, but today we need to come up with a permanent solution. So I don't know if it's remaking the top mount there out of something I have or what, but we'll go check it out. And also I've got the shock mounted upside down right now, which I'm not sure if I'm a huge fan of, but that's the only way I can get it to fit. So we're gonna get a jack, get this shock off, probably pull the tire, and then see if we can get this thing fitting a little bit better. Got the wheel off, got the shock off, so now I got to just figure out. See, my whole problem is you can see how skinny this part stays, but then this end, it just gets wide with the spring cup, like right away. That's really bad lighting. But then this end gets wide right away, and I just don't have enough space with the narrow A-arms to put it in the proper way. I have read online where it's okay to mount these upside down, but I still want to see if I can do some more finagling with this mount to, you know, see if I can get them mounted the proper way. So we're going to see what we can come up with. All right, so here you can see my dilemma. So this is the bottom of the shock, but this is the top mount, right? So you can see I have to put a big old angle on it to get it to clear everything, and I just don't have that much room. And what I did is I notched this already, so this end, if you mount the shock upside down, it barely has enough room, but that's not going to work either because there's just not enough room to get in and make adjustments and such. So I really want to make a mount so I can mount this proper up here. So I've got some square tube, which I'm guessing that's what that was cut out of. There's some square tube, but I don't have the right size. So I'm doing some thinking, and we're gonna do a little more looking through my metal stack and see if I have anything a little bit better. But yeah, so that's where we're at. So we're gonna see about making one of those, and then if that doesn't work, I can always mount it upside down and come up with some kind of spacer. I do have these from back in my leaf spring days, the wedges set my pinion angle, so I could do something like that, and then that would get this out where it needs to be. But really don't want to do that, so we'll see. All right, so first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna trim this thing up to see how it'll look. I'm kind of worried if I trim that much off, the thing won't be strong enough and it'll bend. But at the same time, that's pretty thick, and if I make a homemade one, my metal right now ain't as thick, so this might work. So let me trim this down and we'll see if it fits. All right, so we got this thing trimmed up, so we're gonna go back and test fit it, and if it works, we'll call it good for now, and then we'll just keep an eye on it because that's quick and dirty and I'll be test driving. So we'll see. And here's the other problem we run into is, since it's so tight, this bolt gets in the way. So I'm gonna have to see if there's room to get both of them where I need them. I can put one at the very top and then hopefully one right there. I gotta see if that'll match up the bolt holes on the cross member. So we'll go see that, and if that works, we'll try to go with this, and if it doesn't, we'll have to come up with plan B or C or D, wherever we're at. All right, so upon further review, so I've got shock back in, got it jacked back up where it should be, and you can see I've got clearance there, got clearance here, and it's mounted there. So what I'm gonna do is I think I'm gonna come in and come in and cut this bracket a little off, cut it down in between here, so that way this spring doesn't bind up right here. Just leave it there and go with that and see how it works, and see how it does on test drive. And if not, we'll remake these. But I don't have the stuff I need to do it right, so we're gonna try this, even though it's probably still not right. But we're gonna give this a shot and see how it does. And I'll be able to get a good bolt here, you know, in the very top, so where it's all still strong, it's still bolted up nice, and I can get one bolt right below that. So I'll have 2 bolts in where it's still got a lot of structure. So I'm thinking we're gonna be okay, and this is the quickest path right now without having to spend more money on parts. So I'm gonna get that thing off, chop it off, and then I'll probably re-weld it so it does capture it. If it ever comes loose, it won't just shoot off, and call it good. All right, so I got this bracket off. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut it here and cut it here, and then we'll weld this little piece back on here. That way, if the bolts ever come loose, it still captures the top of the shock. The ride height will go funky, but it won't just pop off the top of the shock unless my weld breaks, which I don't think it will. So we'll get this chopped off and shortened up, and we'll get it on the car, and then we'll take apart the passenger side, which I think I'll go trim this guy up too. Go ahead and get him trimmed up, because right now I can't get the fender off with that on because it's just bent back too far and the fender's captured right up here. So I think we'll get trim that down, get this fender off, and do the same thing on this side, and then we'll start talking about an alignment. All right, so that's about how much we got cut out, and then you can see got everything ready to weld up. So we'll grab the welder, weld that guy right there so it's captured if the bolts ever come loose, and get that buzz together and get her back together over there. All right, so we got her welded up, so that's our new regget. I'll get this ground down so it's smooth on the back, and probably just leave it on the front. We might touch it up a little bit, and then try to get some new paint on it and call it good. Got her ground up, just throw a quick coat of paint on her, call her good, and there's our new rubber shock mount that hopefully it works. We'll find out on the test drive, I suppose. Got it all back together. Pretty sure we're gonna go with that. You can see I got, this is like the suspension at full droop, right? So like if I was actually popping a wheelie, which I probably never will. And you can see there's clearance there and there. So I think we'll be good. So I'm gonna bolt this side together and then take the other side apart. Got the driver's side back together, got the passenger side back together. Unfortunately, I'm gonna take this back apart one more time. I can't find my spacers for these guys, which is a bummer. But I've looked everywhere and can't find them. So I'm gonna do some more looking later. But I'm running out of daylight, so I'm gonna get this thing back together and back in the garage because it's supposed to rain a bunch tomorrow. But while I got the fender off, I went ahead and marked my exhaust. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut this thing on the line. And then hopefully that'll allow me to take the fender off and on without having to mess with the exhaust. And then eventually I want to wrap that exhaust, the street exhaust there. We'll get that wrapped. And but let me get this thing cut. All right, so got the exhaust trimmed up. So now I can get the fender on and off without having to mess with the little down pipes. So that's cool. Dummy me, I got a little excited and pop riveted my trim ring on, and I ain't painted the fender yet, so oh well. Yeah, so we're gonna get this other front wheel on, try to set some ride height, and then do some aligning